Okay, so the reason that I wanted to do this was first for my own education, to try to build a homegrown GPT system to see what it's about. But then things got kicked into overdrive when I keep speaking to a bunch of undergraduate friends that I have here at my recovery group, and they're all very afraid about ChatGPT taking over the world for some reason. And I just did actually what I'm about to show you guys with them, this exercise, and I was curious about how you guys would react. So first, I'm calling this model AISC-GPT. This is the configuration. There's a vocabulary size similar to GPT-2. Layers are smaller, number of embeddings is that, number of heads is that, so you can see it, right? Now, I've saved that model because otherwise it would take time to train. And so the number of parameters in the AISC model is 120 million. In GPT-2 small is 163 million. Let's see some I call this autocomplete to emphasize the fact that that is actually exactly what it is. And I want to make clear that if people are harboring any illusions about it having any kind of internal mechanism to do things other than just predict the next word, that is not true. It may show emerging capabilities, yes, but precisely what it is trained to do is autocompletion. So here, for example, first let's try GPT-2's model. So GPT-2 small. And by the way, this model I keep saving and loading to retrain. So if anyone wants to get involved with the rest of the time that we have in this semester to finish up this training of this model on maybe more data, let me know. So let's see. So here's the prompt. I'm trying to train a neural network to autocomplete some text, right? So while we're doing that, here we can monitor the resources. So you can see that the RAM that this model used to just run inference is already up to 3 GB, right? And this has not even reached 500 million parameters. And think about ChatGPT that has 175 billion parameters right now. So actually, GPT-2, the small model, is quite unimpressive, right? So here, you see the text that it generates. So if I change these things, temperature and sampling, and I play with it for some time, I can get something out of it that will not seem like rubbish. But then there are some small changes I made to the training setup, specifically the training algorithm. And they're not small changes, they're quite significant. Training algorithm and other things I will talk about in a moment. But you can see the autocomplete features of, say, I think that's what I called it. Yeah. Yeah. So while we wait for that, you saw the string of characters the GPT-2 generated, right? So I want to talk about the tokens. So these models, they're really learning from absolute gibberish. Their starting point is a string of characters, right? So some days ago when I was helping Dr. Seth with the keynote, he got surprised at the retina being broken down in GPT's tokenization structure as RET and some other pound INA, right? So in many of these models, for efficiency, they break it down to the level of bytes and characters sometimes. So,
but that efficiency doesn't pay. I mean, why? I question why they do that. Why not start with good quality things that it rooted in human language?
Absolutely. So that is definitely a concern that I'm hoping to address. we can see that the AIC GPT model, I am trying to train some text and it auto-completed that with the goal is to publish more text. Google Assistant to look at text images. It's at least English compared to the text that GPT-2 small generated, right? And then once again, the difference in parameters and size of the model is also different. So this has 6 layers versus 12, so fewer parameters. Okay, now coming to some of the techniques. So here for this toy string, the first technique change that I made is that I tried 3 different training architectures. Self-attention is one of them. But before that, simply a feed-forward layer, right? Feed-forward network. Why? Because there's nothing in the books that say that a 2-layer feed-forward layer, if you increase the width enough, cannot get you good performance, right? It's a universal approximator. So that's exactly what I tried, a 2-layer feed-forward network and increase the width until I get good evaluation accuracy. With random prompts from that dummy text, you can see some performance outputs, right? So that's the prompt, and it completes based on the data that it has seen. Okay, so this took about 1,000 epochs. So each epoch you can think of as 1,000 iterations of itself. This is a feed-forward neural network, and a second technique that I tried is something that Professor Vignesh introduced me to. It's called method of moments, but what it really is in code is just fit a polynomial. So you have an input X, let's say. So exactly what a feed-forward neural network is learning as a function of that X is mysterious to us. But you can make it explicit. So the function that you learn of X is AX plus BX squared plus CX to the power 0. So literally you give it powers of the input and you take means of that for numerical stability. And you give it how many powers? You give it maybe, I've given it 0, 1 in the second power. The intuition behind this is that these models, they're predicting probabilities of the words that they're supposed to complete, right? Autocomplete. So think about a normal distribution that is a probability distribution. You can represent it by 2 powers, x squared and x. If you remember the univariate normal equation, those are the only 2 things that exist there, right? The second order polynomial and the first order, and the shape of the normal distribution is entirely characterized by that. You change some numbers and you get a different shape. So here we don't really know what the shape is, but we don't care. We just compute those numbers, those sufficient statistics like the mean and the variance. So the expected values of the higher order polynomials and train the network. Now, versus 1,000 epochs in the feed-forward neural network, this takes just 50. It is drastically more efficient. And also the representation quality is higher. So what I mean by that is, for a neural network, when you pass an input, how do you get its representation? It's vector form. You get the last layer activations, right? Here, you can simply read off the weights of the polynomial that you have explicitly given. So like I said, ax squared plus bx plus c, if that's the polynomial you have given, a, b, and c is the representation of your input, right? So again, here you can see that after just 50 iterations, it is able to complete with proper English sentences. Compare that with 1,000 iterations of a multi-headed self-attention. This is a single self-attention block with multiple heads, so 12, right? So GPT has 6, for example. The AIC GPT that I built, that has 6. GPT-2 has 12. So if you generate using this, again, here you'll see exactly how crass these models are with what they start with, right? So you can see that it completed that text generator with generate text IE. So it is literally predicting bytes and characters at a time, right? And you can, if you don't wait long enough or give it enough training data, you'll get complete gibberish like this. Okay, so and the training method you have heard about RLHF, right? So that's proximal policy gradients. So if you change the training method to full policy gradients, which I did, you also get faster convergence. Okay, Now the last thing. So when you the scale of the models that I've trained so far, I discussed just now, this 120 million versus 163, but you saw it in AAAI that if you just keep increasing the scale, the meaning improves, right? Or so it appears. So again, I go back to GPT-4, right? And query it for this. I have 3 identical blocks. They are block A, B, and C. I stack the block C on top of block B, then I stack block A on top of B. What happens if I push B, right? Then the answer should be, at least to me, that A falls down, C is in place, right? Because I pushed B. But this is the answer that GPT-4 comes up with. And the problem here is that I just, the point I'm trying to make is this is the same autocomplete that I just showed you guys. It may appear to be doing something more amazing, but it is quite literally the same autocomplete, but at a larger scale. So the lack of intuition in the physics that you see here, it should not be surprising. This exact same presentation, short presentation that I gave you guys just now, I also gave to my friends in the undergraduate group, and they were all much less afraid of ChatGPT after this. So yeah, that's just the end of it. I'd like to hear any thoughts. Do we know who has been made the host?
Kaushik, you are host.
Oh, I am host. Okay, I'll end the meeting then. Okay.